Welcome to Land Investing Online. Come unlock your potential freedom through land investing. Here at Land Investing Online, we teach students how to profitably buy and sell vacant land. This is the simplest, least competitive, and most profitable sector of real estate. To learn more, visit landinvestingonline.com. We even have a free Discord with tons of successful investors in it, including Ron and myself. Come learn from the best. As always, guys, please subscribe and like this video, podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, whatever you guys are listening from. It drives our business forward and means the world to Ron and I. I'm Daniel Apke, joined again by my brother and business partner, Ron Apke. Welcome back, Ron.
Hey, Dan, good to be here.
Today's episode, we're talking about leveraging financing to grow your business, specifically your land business and real estate business. But before we get into that, let's go over a question from one of our members. The question is, are returns on rural land better, or are they better on urban infill lots? So they're asking about rural land versus more urban infill lots, maybe subdivisions and stuff near cities. Ron?
Yeah, really good question. So basically, if you guys are new here, they're asking, is it better if you're buying bigger parcels, 5+ acres, 2 hours outside of a big city, what we'd consider rural, or more in a city where it's building lots? Maybe it's a quarter an acre. Maybe a lot of times it's less, honestly. For me personally, I much rather prefer the rural aspect, 5+ acres, 2 hours from a city, 3 hours from a city. There are a ton of buyers. I think that's people's nerves, Dan. Like, they might be able to buy land out there, but they're worried about who they're going to sell it to, which that shouldn't really be your worry. If you're buying it at the right price, there's going to be an end buyer. So basically, I'm saying returns are better without a doubt. On the rural vacant land, 5+ acre, whatever it is, even if it's 4.5 acres, farther from cities, I think your acquisition rate is going to be much better, and you can definitely make the returns without a doubt, Dan.
Yeah, but let's get to the root cause. Why would margins be better out in the rural area?
More sellers, I think, more sellers, and it's harder for them to sell their land, which I think you're probably getting at, Dan. So if someone who's 3 hours outside of Atlanta or something, not close to any city, is looking to sell their land and they don't have any options for realtors, we might be their only option. So we give them a good out of fast close, and you can make more money on these if you know how to sell land, which we teach you guys to. But yeah, a lot more sellers out there, and it's harder for sellers to use a different avenue to sell their land.
That's a really good point. That's not what I was going to get into. What I was going to get into is just basic supply and demand. There's more supply of infill lots, or not even infill, of vacant lots in the rural versus, say you're in, let's think of a city, Cincinnati, right? There's going to be more an hour north available vacant land versus in the actual city. So it's a basic supply and demand thing. There's going to be less people hunting down in this market today. There's less people hunting down those properties in rural America than there are infill lots in, say, Tampa, Georgia, or Tampa, Florida, where I am right now. So supply and demand just says It's going to be more profitable in this area. Might be harder to sell. You'll be able to sell it though through our course and what we teach. Other than that, guys, let's get into today's topic: leveraging financing to grow your land business. So, Ron, do you want to briefly describe what we mean as leveraging financing and talk about how, you don't need money for your own deals, how people in our group provide the funding for your deals? Just go over land financing 101 if someone's new here.
Yeah, so we have people who constantly, and I think it's been a constant question, like, I only have $5,000. Should I just send mail for land that's $5,000 or less dollars? What's my option if I'm trying to get, how do I really scale this thing? And the answer is by getting funding for bigger deals. If you're just buying your own land, that's $4,000, $3,000. There's only a limited amount of money you can make on those pieces of land. Like, maybe a great deal, buy for 5,000, sell for 25. Any better than that might happen once a year or something like that. But if you're sending mail for $100,000, $80,000 piece of land, you get a piece of land under contract that's $80,000 and it's worth 170, 180. You partner with someone, it's a great deal. They review the deal. They like the deal. They put in 100% of the money. We do this all the time for new members, even for non-members as well. We'll put in 100% of money. So we'll give $80,000 to buy the deal. We'll be on the deed and title as asset protection for us, and then you will be responsible for selling the property. And Dan, I've been getting a lot of people who are like asking, like, can I just sell you the deal? Can I wholesale you the deal? And like, I
Yeah,
really want to teach people how to sell land. I don't want a partner like that. Like, maybe I will do it from time to time, but I'd much rather be the money partner. You deal with selling the land, and then we'll have some kind of profit split. So I think that's kind of the basics to it,
I
Dan.
agree, and there's more money in this aspect. Yeah, it might cost a little bit of time versus if you're selling someone JVing the deal. But really, the it seems like the most money and most sustainability, where the real value is just actually buying the land yourself, or with the financing partner, and managing the whole deal from start to finish. It's at least good to know, so you have that option, even if you are primarily JVing deals. It never hurts to go through a couple of deals from start to finish and actually do the work. There would be more money in it. You're probably going to like it more, and it's more sustainable as a business model, in my opinion. But I guess the main advantage. Let's talk about some advantages for outsourcing. So, say I have a deal, right? Say it's $10,000. I think it's going to sell for 25. The risk is low. It looks good. Got some other opinions on it. Did all my due diligence, and now I'm ready to find a partner because I don't have $10,000, or I do have $10,000, but I want to save that for more mail because I just got two of these properties, and I want to get more of those properties, so I need to save that money for mail. So let's find a funding partner. I guess so. The main goal here is to find financing for yourself and keep your own money for your mail, which we suggest at first doing if you're tighter on funds. But Ron, how do you go about finding good partners? Because there's a lot of people that finance deals. It really depends what you're looking for, though. Do you want someone to help walk you through the property or go over any questions or concerns you have, or do you simply want someone's money who maybe doesn't do it? So there's a ton in our Discord. There's a ton of funders out there. Ron, where would you start if you didn't know any funders? You see them all communicating in our Discord, but what would you do?
Yeah, I think reaching out to a few on Discord, I strongly like, not strongly, Dan, but going to friends and family or like your first couple deals before you really understand and like have proof of concept. We have got money from family, but it was not the first deal. It wasn't the second deal. Like we did 50 plus deals before we had the confidence to kind of take money from friends or family and do that. Um, I strongly advise not worrying about the money aspect as much in the split or whatever. Find a real relationship that can be a long term partnership. You don't want someone looking over your shoulder the whole time. But Discord is a great way to reach out to people. Reach out to us if you have something to look at. Bring it to our Wednesday calls, 6 p.m. Eastern time. If you're in the Discord, you'll get updates on that. I think that's the place to start, Dan. I think our Discord community is really strong and it's really growing, and we're trying to keep it extremely authentic and it's free, which is awesome. So I think that's the first place to go,
Yeah, and
Dan.
I mean, some people in there are solely deal funders, and they know land like crazy too. So I said someone who's only deal funding might not know land as well, but that's not always true because there's people who are just they don't want to manage the deal and they have a bank full of cash ready for you. So I wouldn't. It really depends. There's a ton of good people in that I mean, we use Lori Phillips. She's in the group. We use her a ton for deal funding in the past. We've used her quite a few times, I think. There's a lot of people out there looking that are very helpful and can help you scale your business as well. That's what we looked for when we first started this, and we needed partners. We kind of looked for who fits our values, kind of, and who wants to grow and scale this and help teach us things that are gaps in our business. So that's what we did. We found those people and kind of ran with it. But let's talk about advantages and disadvantages. We'll start with advantages of outsourcing your financing. And that's what you're doing. Like you hear the term outsourcing as a lot, but this is outsourcing your funding, outsourcing your financing, outsourcing your risk, outsourcing all of that is important for any business in general. You have to find ways to get money and cheap money, ideally. So, Ron, what are some of the advantages or advantages with funding or outsourcing your financing?
Without a doubt, the number, I guess it kind of combines in a lot of things. Like you don't have, there's not risk. You do not have to put money up front. Um, you don't even know this, Dan, but we just got a check literally in the last hour or two. It was 50,600 and change. We did not put a dime into this deal. That is 100% profit. $50,000 of profit. It doesn't matter the size of the deal, whether we bought it for $1 million or whatever. But it was $50,000 of profit on something that we put $0, 0 cents into. So that's the advantage. Like, and people keep on like, you have to get in the mindset that it doesn't matter what size property you get under contract. You need to worry about getting good deals. That is the number. If you don't have a lot of funding behind you personally, that's the number one goal for you, is getting good properties under contract, and then everything else will take care of itself. But yeah, I think that's the biggest advantage, Dan. Like, I don't want to make it more complicated than it is. There's zero risk in funding out the deals. Like, yeah, you need to find the funding, you need to make sure the deal is good enough. You don't want to screw over funding partners. That is a really big thing. But as far as the advantages, like, you don't have to put on any money out and you get money
Yeah, so
back.
you're not putting any. So that just comes down to risk. It mitigates all that risk, almost all the risk. A lot of the risk is mitigated when you do this. Yes, you lose profit, but I mean, there's zero risk. Like Ron said, we got a 50. I had no idea about this either until he just said it, but we got a $50,000 check today. I think he said, and we put zero into it, which is amazing. But you got to think of the main thing. How I look at this is scalability. Can you scale a business with only using your own money like this? Because I've explained this in several episodes. When you're buying more than you're selling, which if you're growing, you acquire more. So if you're growing, you last month I sent out 10,000 maybe. This month I sent out 15. Next month I'm sending out 20, right? So you sent out 50% more the first month, then 33% more after that month. So you're going to be acquiring 50% more that following month, and then 33%. If all things are equal, you're going to be scaling up. So if you have to buy $1 million worth of property and because you're growing and you only have $500,000 that you're selling right now, you're going to have to come up with that 500,000. When you're scaling a business, and you see this a lot of times with startups and stuff too, they're profitable if they want to be profitable. They can scale things down and be profitable, but the way they want to blow up and the way to grow, they have to keep taking money and refinancing or funding it into other things. And that's the same with this. You got to buy more inventory. You got to get money for more inventory. And that's exactly what we're doing. But let's talk about disadvantages of outsourcing now. So we talked about the advantages, the main things being scalability and risk. Disadvantages, Ron?
I mean, disadvantages, you're losing some of the profits. So whatever you buy for 100,000, you sell for 200. Normally for new members, it's or newer people in land, it's going to be a 50-50 profit split. But you really can't look at it like that. But you're going to lose some profit if you had the 100,000 yourself. You would obviously make more money. But like Dan said, it's not realistic to be able to scale like that. So that's one of the disadvantages, or pretty obvious. Like when you fund something out, you're not going to get 100% of the profit. Um, Another thing is these contracts with funders are going to have deadlines. You need to sell that property in a certain amount of time. If you don't, it goes 100% to the funder or to the investor, whatever you want to call them. So that is another risk, that you could just 100% lose the property. You're still not losing money at the end of the day, because you didn't put anything into it other than the 55 cents, 60 cents for mail. But that's another risk, is the contract expiring, which we've never had personally on either side of it. So you need to do your job to sell the property. But I think those are the two main things then.
Yeah, I agree. But like Ron said, money costs money. There's no free money out there. So, like everyone, I can put this into kind of everyone's perspective by just showing a real world example. I think everyone knows that interest rates. Most people know that interest rates are going up, right? Maybe it was 3% last year. Now it's 5.5%. So interest has gone up 2.5%. That's just one real world example of money costing money. Like when you get a mortgage, that's you're paying for that money. You're borrowing that money and paying an interest in return. And that's exactly what this is. Like Ron said, you mitigate 100% of that risk virtually. You have a chance of losing the deal. That's risk, but kind of not. Like if you're looking at it from a macroeconomic standpoint, it's really not that much risk besides time. Um, so profit's the main thing in those deadlines. You're splitting profit. But so I do want to talk a little bit about what we do, because we get that question a lot. People don't think we finance deals out or get funding or whatever. And so we've been doing this long enough and have enough data to support our business model. And we can go to funders and say, this is our typical return on investment. This is our history. This is the worst return we've ever got. This is the best return we've ever got. We have hundreds and hundreds, or if not thousands, I don't know how many, to be honest, of deals to back us up with our data. And we also have a lot of experience under us and a lot of good employees and a good system and processes. So we do use this to our leverage, right? The more ammunition, I always talk about this, the more ammo you get, the more leverage you have. So if I have a track record of 1,000 deals all being profitable, maybe I don't need 50-50 splits anymore. Maybe I can get that number down. We got to talk about real business. Like our mission is to provide freedom to our members, right? That's our mission. We want to provide that freedom that you guys want and you guys came here for. So part of this is you need to find ways to get alternative, cheaper money. That's a thing in business. When I'm looking for business loans, when I'm looking for rental loans, whatever it is, we want cheap money. I'm going to someone who says 4% for my mortgage in Cincinnati, and the next guy says 9% and tries to sell me his relationship. I do respect that, but at the end of the day, money's money, and I need to scale a business. So as you get experience and as you get more leverage and you have these numbers to back you up, don't try doing it on deal 1, deal 2, deal 3, but you've done 25 deals. We got to find ways, and this is for experienced people only. Got to find ways to get cheaper money, in my opinion. And people probably aren't going to like me for saying that, but like I said, our mission is to provide freedom to people. So I'm going to be honest and transparent with you guys. In business in general, you got to find ways to get cheaper money. That's just business 101. It doesn't, people act like it doesn't apply to this business model. It applies to this business model more than any other business model I've ever seen in my life, to be honest with you. So that's just my input on it. Don't do this at first. Get your deals, get your data down, get the whole system and processes down, mitigate the risk, because that's what it does. The more information you get and the more data you have supporting and backing up yourself, the less riskier it is for that investor, because now you've done 10, 20 deals with them. They're like, wow, I just made a crap load of money off them. They sold it quick. They were on time with what they said it was going to sell it in. All of their facts were on point, and now I trust them more. So now you got to think of it like that. The lender, which is the funder, the lender sees less risk in you, so that brings down the cap for them, so they can bring the price down. Typically, the less risk, the more risk, the higher the price. The less risk, the lower the price, right? So that's what I have to add there.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Dan. And ideally, in an ideal world, those more expensive funders, investors can still be your partners down the line in a cheaper way. And we have partners that we've been using for years, investors, and they were really, really expensive at first. There was a lot more risk at first. It was someone who's new. They might have had to be a little more hands on at first than assist with some other things. But now it's like clockwork, and we know how fast we're going to turn their money. They know what to expect. So ideally, you nurture that relationship. I think it's really important to do that. Nurture your relationship with your investors and build those over time. And then you go back, you give them 5 really good deals, you flip them fast. Maybe it's 50-50 split there. You're like, listen, we've done this. I want to still work with you, but I need to be a little cheaper, or you need to have a little cheaper money for me. Can you help me out anything? And most of the time they're going to say yes. Like, maybe not for every deal. For us personally, there will be times when we can help people out with the percentage or whatever, but there are also, we deal fund a lot of riskier deals in my mind. That a lot of people say no to them. So then it's going to change deal to deal sometimes, but you need to work on these relationships. I've funded people's deals who just don't do anything, honestly, and I had to kind of do everything for the deal. I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt next deal or the next deal, because I had to do work and it took me time and effort when I'm supposed to be a hands-off money partner. Um, Another thing I think I've kind of said it, and you said it, Dan, is speed. The speed matters so much. If you can get them a return in 6 weeks or 2 months opposed to 4 months, they can flip that money 6 times in a year opposed to 3 times in a year. That makes, like, maybe each deal, the money is less expensive, but overall, they're making a lot more money partnering with you versus partnering with someone where they maybe get more return per deal. The speed, and it disappoints me when I see people like, you should have your property posted the same day that property is purchased, especially when you're getting funding. You need to be fast with it. It is so valuable. It's going to help scale your business so much, Dan. And that it gets me heated a little bit when they just take the money for granted and just act like no one's giving them money, and they just kind of take their sweet time with it. But you need to be quick with it. That's how you service and nurture these
Yeah, and you'll
relationships.
get cheaper money by doing the things Ron's talking about. I mean, it's a win-win relationship, right? You can't look at it like, oh, I'm giving you 50% of the profit split, so you don't need to, do anything. It's a win-win relationship. They just wired $50,000 to you with, all the risk is on them. It's really is a lot on them. And that's why like those 50-50 splits are so big at first because it is a lot of risk. They don't know you, maybe like it might be the first one with you. There's just so much risk on the funder. Um, that's kind of where I see it. But I do encourage people to get creative with ways to raise money down the road when you're really experienced. I wouldn't focus on this right away because it can. I mean, becoming a bank can take a lot of time and energy and effort. But I personally know people who have had such good deals. They wanted to maximize their profit because they had some goals or something they wanted to hit. I'm not exactly sure, but they ended up getting a home equity line of credit out for that and getting like 5%, money for their deal, and then just getting their profit and putting it right back into their house to pay it off or whatever. Like you can get a HELOC, home equity line of credit, for pretty cheap, and there's different alternative methods. I'm not saying go refinance your house to pay for your deal, but I'm saying I'm saying to think differently when you're looking for deal funding. Not at first. Please don't do this at first. You're going to waste your time. Once you get a bunch of deals done, go look for traditional ways. I mean, there's if you have 2 years or plus experience in business and you have all your P&Ls and everything to back you up and your W-2 employee and all that through your business, there's traditional bank loans you can get. You can get line of credits through banks. You can get, different loans. You can use friends and family, like Ron said, after you prove yourself. I think those are the main ones that come to mind. But as you guys scale your business and really start to take off, look for these other alternative ways because 50% of your profit's expensive. It's very necessary, and we still do it on some deals, and it was very necessary for us at first, and we wouldn't be where we are today without that. But my whole goal of this podcast is to just kind of get your wheels turning in your head. Think about some alternative ways if you're experienced. If you're new, don't think about this. Move on, get your deals, prove yourself, and then come back and think about it. But it's a win-win for everyone, guys. Deal funders take a lot of risk. Yes, they make a lot of money, but so do you with zero risk. I'd honestly rather be on this side of it than the deal funding. I'd rather make all the money with zero risk, right? You can back out at any point, really. That kind of sounded bad, but zero risk, guys. That's really, really powerful in a market, especially a market like today.
Yep. I agree, Dan. And early on, I want to say something. Let me think real fast. Early on, like if you're thinking too much about this part, like your first, second deal, you're wasting a lot of brain space and a lot of brain power. Early on, become exceptional at buying and selling land. Like that is your number one focus. If I'm talking to you right now and you're new, you haven't bought a piece of land, don't start thinking like, how am I going to pay for this? Become really good at buying and selling land. Like that is what we did initially. That's the only thing that really mattered because that's how you scale something. Like you got to become really good at it for you to be able to have trust in future investors to get cheaper rates. But no, I think this was really good.
Awesome.
Dan.
I do not have anything else to add, guys, but thank you so much for joining. To get started and to unlock your potential freedom, visit landinvestingonline.com. Join our free Discord where Ron and I are involved in a ton of successful investors. Guys, please like and subscribe our YouTube channel, Apple Podcast, Spotify, whatever you're listening on. It means a ton to Ron and I. Other than that, we'll see you guys next episode. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, guys.